Okay, so let's go ahead and create an interface and call it self-developing. I will go ahead and create an interface. So first the file self-developing.cs. Okay, and we use the reserved keyword interface. So I'll say public interface self-developing, and this will only have one method on it called develop. Okay, so that's it. Very, very simple. Just develop as a signature, and there's just declaration, no implementation on the interface. Now let's go ahead and implement this interface by the previously mentioned classes, which were retail salesperson and web developer. So I'll go ahead to here, 1 and 2. There we go. By the way, as you can see, this is how C# gets around the problem of multiple inheritance. So a class can inherit from one class, but it cannot inherit from multiple classes, as you've seen before. But it can inherit from multiple interfaces. So even if we had another interface, all we would do is just say comma and another interface. In this case, we don't have anything, but this is how it would look like. So you just say comma and the next thing you want to inherit or implement. So in this case, we have one abstract class, which is developer, and then we have another interface, which is self-developing. And the same thing goes for retail salesperson. It has salesman abstract class and self-developing interface. Now, after you add the interface, you have to implement its required members. In this case, we've already implemented it, which is the develop. So we have one here, and we have another one right here. So on web developer and on retail salesperson, both are all set. Now here's the beauty. Check it out. Remember before when I took out develop, nothing really changed? If I was the same person and I came back and I was trying to rewrite this class or rewrite this class, whichever, and I was to take out develop, if I was to take this out, guess what? It would break, because this is setting a regulation. This is putting stability into our program. It says web developer does not implement interface member self-developing.develop. So it says we need this. We need this. This method is required just the way it looks like. We can't change this to int or anything, any other type. We can't change the name of it, void and then develop to or anything else. We can't do it. We can't mess with the signature. We can't touch this method. What we can change is the implementation of the method, but that's a different story. But this introduces a whole lot of stability into our program. Here is a top view of what we already have. Basically, we have the salesman abstract class and the developer abstract class. Salesman abstract class unifies the retail salesperson and car salesman concrete classes because they have common functionality, which then goes into the salesman, and whatever is not common gets defined individually in each concrete class or child class in this case. Now the developer does the same thing, and web developer and software developer are its children. But we also needed an ability, which we gave to only these two classes separately. So retail salesperson and web developer are totally separate groups. However, they're unified by an interface because they happen to have the same ability, aka method, that they need to define individually on their classes. Okay, now I'm going to go back and I want to actually run this. So web developer and retail salesperson, okay? I'm gonna go to program. We already have this part. So I'm gonna take this out. And retail salesperson, next thing is web developer. And I will just say Mike equals new web developer. And the primary language is Angular 6. Okay, and then Mike dot, we can just call code just so we see that it works. Why not? But the most important part is the develop for us, right? So let's actually call it and see how that works. And I'm going to have the same thing here. All right. There we go. So if we were to run it, here's what happens. As you would expect, cell does exactly that. And develop says, I develop myself by watching retail sales training videos. Great. And web developer, code, I'm coding using my main dev language Angular 6. Great. And then develop, same thing. I develop myself watching Udemy web development courses. Wonderful. Now, as you saw, once again, just want to remind you that develop is here, and we could have had it without the interface. So web developer could have had develop, and retail salesperson could have had develop. However, if we were to take this out, if we didn't have the interface and somebody else was to mess with the method, nothing would prevent them from doing that. But when we enforce it with an interface and then we mess with the method again, see, we get regulation in place. So that is the beauty of interfaces, and also the fact that it gets around the problem of multiple inheritance in C#. So if you had more abilities, you could just chain them together on here by using a comma and then continuing it on. So that's interfaces and inheritance. And in the next section, we're going to go over polymorphism.